Welcome to the Aussie Game podcast, where we talk all things Australian football. With the Socceroos March fixtures announced this week, the mad scramble has begun with players desperate for minutes in the hope to be on the plane. We've also got some Socceroos injuries and some star performances. Elsewhere, we've seen some key Matildas back at training. The Jets and the Bulls with big wins, plus a teen hat-trick in the A-League men's, an incredibly tight A-League women's competition, and we'll finish off with our team of the week. Bit happening, Mopper.
Oh, yes, it always is, isn't it? That's why we love this game so much. And thank you for mentioning the Socceroos. And we've seen three returning Socceroos from injury over the weekend, which we'll talk about too, which is exciting. Great to see that great photo with Cooney Cross and Mary Fowler obviously back. But I also wanted to touch on Chloe Lagazo, Berry Hill, and what a career after injury cruelling her return. So we wish all Chloe the best in the future. I'm sure she'll have a major impact after playing football. I'm sure she'll be deep entrenched in supporting the women's game into the next phase. So let's get straight into it, mate. Like you said, Socceroos March fixtures coming up. What do we got?
Yeah, they've announced this week that they're going to play Cameroon and Curaçao in the FIFA Series 2026 this March, with both matches in Australia. It has been a little bit of time since we've seen the Socceroos on home soil, so this is exciting for home fans to get the chance to send them off. So the first game is going to be against Cameroon at Accor Stadium in Sydney, Friday 27th of March. Cameroon currently ranked 45 in the world. They're not going to the World Cup, didn't have the best World Cup qualifying campaign, and they were recently just knocked out of AFCON by Morocco in the quarterfinals. Now, some players, Mopper, that I'm sure our listeners will be familiar with. Carlos Baleba from Brighton, of course, Brian Mbeumo from Manchester United, and Etta Iyong, Matty Ryan's teammate at Levante. So a tough fixture for the Socceroos, despite them not going to the World Cup. Some big challenges ahead.
Yeah, big name players there, all playing at big clubs as well. And yeah, look, exciting to get Cameroon down here. Different style of game, and I think the wingers will really test our wing backs as well. We seem to have struggled in the last few games in those little spaces. So yeah, it'll be good to test it out. And, yeah, to see how we set up formation wise. And then, yeah, beautiful two friendlies, isn't it? Different styles, but really positive for the Socceroos. And I think when the selection is being picked for this one, you'll probably see the majority of obviously whoever's picked go to the World Cup, you would think, in Povic's selections. But still plenty of time for those injury players, yeah, 27th of March, 31st of March. You've got a list here. So I think I know we've got a few out and a few coming back, but I think it gives them enough time to still be considered in these two farewell games in Australia.
Yeah, the second game is against Curaçao, AAMI Park in Melbourne. That one's on Tuesday, the 31st of March. Curaçao ranked 81 in the world. They're going to the first World Cup. They were a bit of the romance story out of World Cup qualification. They actually qualified first in CONCACAF, obviously with the host nations automatically qualifying. But yeah, what a tremendous achievement from this nation to get to their first ever World Cup, and they'll be full of excitement. And as you said, they'll offer a different challenge from that CONCACAF area for our Socceroos. But as you mentioned, we do seem to have some injuries piling up. So Harry Souttar has had a setback in his recovery. That's really going to be touch and go, considering how long he's been out, whether Popovic takes a risk on him. Hayden Matthews out. Obviously, he's got a mid-March return. Connor Metcalfe, that's a more recent one, back in early March. Cam Devlin, we were aware of in early March, and Jacob Italiano's still got a few weeks. So it'll be really interesting to see if any of these guys get picked in the squad, and then if they don't get picked, where the opportunities come. Popovic even said the other day that there might be some new faces that haven't even been in a World Cup squad before. So that should be fascinating, actually, when that squad is announced, as to just who maybe from previous squads that hasn't been called up might get a look in.
As you said in the preview with the Socceroos, we had over 60 players that have been picked over the Popovic's reign. You look at these players in injury. Italiano impressed. He's obviously can play both flanks. Cam Devlin, almost Scottish Player of the Year. Did get selected in the previous World Cup, though, and was part of Popovic's plans, but didn't see much game time, or any game time at all, sorry. Conor Metcalfe, he's been a stalwart, so no concerns there for me. Hayden Matthews will be an interesting one, back mid-March. He's probably the latest out of those ones you've mentioned. And Harry Souttar. Well, big decisions to make there, isn't it? With no games, you'd honestly challenge yourself whether you would to take him to a World Cup with his fitness. So big challenge there, but where do you see that one, especially with Souttar? Would you pick him if he had no game time leading in?
Well, I've said this before. He came into the previous World Cup in Qatar with pretty much no game time and played all 4 games for the Socceroos. So he's got form. I mean, the fact that he can do that. But yeah, geez, an Achilles injury. He's been out a long time. Not sure exactly what the setback is from the Leicester team, but yeah, it's a risk. I'd say you definitely want to see him get a couple of months of football behind him before that squad's picked for the World Cup. So yeah, interesting one. The thing I would say about probably Conor Metcalfe aside, the rest of them are quite fringe players. Like Hayden Matthews hasn't got much game time. Cam Devlin's yet to get some minutes under Popovic, and Jacob Italiano, we've seen just kind of bits and pieces of him. So I think it's an opportunity for those other players that are similar to be looked at in March. And yeah, I was very interested to see that Popovic mentioned that there'd be some new names, because I thought that he wouldn't really go back and experiment too much this close to a World Cup.
It is pretty close, but there are some X factors that we discussed. Jed Drew, Caputo, Sapsford, all in really good form. So, if you're playing football, you've got a chance. And I think the Asia Cup after this as well. So I guess he's wants to see that full rotation of the squad, because you just don't know. Injuries aside, anything can happen. There's still a good 5-6 months worth of football, and plenty of it too, as you'll see once we go through all the games just this week. The games are piling up, and you've seen some late transfer news. The A-League's been hot off the press, hasn't it? And players desperate to get some game time, and select clubs that are either in Asia or thereabouts in the Asian Champions League too, as you've seen some of the players there. And Melbourne City and Metcalfe have been heavily targeted due to that second bow that they have with Asia. They obviously see that as a massive advantage to impress in the next 3 to 4 months.
Yeah, well, as you said, the mad scramble begins because Mitch Duke back, obviously Daniel Arzani and Ryan Teague back from Melbourne City. Marcus Eunice came back from Melbourne City, but I don't think he's in our calculations for the Socceroos. But then the interesting one is that we see Kai Truan go the other way, and I'm sure he must have had that. He must have had a conversation with Popovic about that move, because if he stayed at Melbourne City for the rest of the season, he's a lock for the World Cup just about. But yeah, he's gone to New York City, and he's going to have to prove himself in a different environment. So that would be an interesting one too.
Yeah, the City Group plays a part in that, no doubt. And obviously, with that conversation that we've hoped he's had, full of confidence to go over. And the lure of America is just too much for our players, isn't it? The finances over there are just overpowering, and we can't retain. So, look, good luck to Truan. Yeah, geez, Melbourne City obviously missed him, didn't they, on the weekend, which we'll touch on. But again, another strong move to a strong club over there. So, yeah, it'd be interesting. There's a few Aussies over there now. They've definitely picked our market. So, got some good value, no doubt, the Americans. And we'll see how they go in their pre-season now, getting ready for obviously their new year.
Yeah, well said, mate. All right, let's leave the Socceroos there, mate. Do you want to take us through some on-field action starting in the Championship?
Yeah, both games midweek and overnight over the weekend, and we've got some more games tonight coming up. So we'll start with Derby in the midweek game. They completed a 2-1 away win against Charlton. They had a late send-off too with that one. Callum Elder didn't start this game, but he come off the bench in the 89th minute, probably rotation with the amount of games that they've been having over there. They then played a Derby again on early Saturday morning, and they played West Brom. And this was really important game for them. They could really push themselves into that playoff calculations. And Elder, back in the starting lineup, played a full game, and they went ahead in the first half. But it looks like they had all 3 points wrapped up, but painfully conceded in the last moments of that game in a 1-1 draw. So they're just outside that tight race in the playoffs. Our other Aussies, we had some derbies this week. During the week, we had Watford versus Portsmouth in an all-Aussie battle. With Segecic starting, for Pompey, and Jacob Farrell was on the bench. He got some game time too, Jacob Farrell. He come on in the 83rd minute. And Watford's Irukunda, which he's been starting on the bench lately, he come on in the 81st minute. The honours were shared with 2 goals, and it was 1-1 draw. But the man again, Chief, the Superman, has done it again. Segecic started and opening the scoring in the 73rd minute with a nice composed finish at the back post. But Watford pulled one back and the game finished all squared. But the plaudits go to Superman. And the stats. Have a look at those stats again for Segecic. Number 1 for Pompey in goals and assists. He's just having a great time, isn't he?
Oh yeah, chances created, and yeah, just his influence on this Portsmouth squad. They've dropped into the relegation zone with the results overnight, but geez, where would they be without Segecic's goals this season? And as you pointed out last week, he's missed a lot of the season as well, and still their top goal scorer and so influential. So he'll be hoping for another goal or 2 tonight for sure in their game. And yeah, look, it's going to be a scrap, I think, for these Portsmouth boys and potentially Blackburn, who we'll touch on in a sec. But yeah, it's very tight in the championship. But what a performance from Segecic. And I just wanted to mention Farrell and Irukunda coming on within a couple of minutes of each other as well. Those two had some absolutely classic battles when they were at the Mariners and Adelaide United, respectively, in the A-League. So it was very, very cool. And plenty of people noticed them coming on the field at the same time. So, yeah, the rivalry continues over at England.
Big X factor, Segecic putting his hand up, wouldn't he, for Popovic? And I guess Segecic would be very happy to hear that Popo said that he wants to open it up and still have an opportunity for players. He did get picked in that New Zealand squad, but didn't see game time and was the 24th man in the second game. All right, let's get back to the championship because Watford had another game on Sunday morning overnight. And they were away to Lewis Miller's Blackburn in another Aussie derby. And Miller returned from injury. We're all excited about this one, seeing the Socceroo return. And it didn't take him long, did it? He started and scored in a 1-1 draw. He was subbed off early, probably to protect himself in the 61st minute. And great plaudits too from Blackburn in regard to Miller's performance. Irukunda also come off the bench again in the 64th minute. Watford are now 8th. With a game in hand, and Blackburn are in 21st with 6 teams within 5 points of each other down the bottom. So Watford consolidating, but Blackburn down the bottom, and it's tough down there. 6 teams within 5 points. It's going to be a very big dogfight, and it'll be very interesting to see if any financial markets play the way in the championship to try to survive that drop. All right, let's move over to Super Silvera. Stoke versus Middlesbrough midweek, and he plays the first half as Boro come from behind in this one. They won 2-1 at Stoke, and that keeps Boro in the hunt for the top position. They also had Middlesbrough playing Preston overnight, with Boro the early game in this one, and they hosted this time, and they welcome back Socceroo, no other than blue chip Riley McGree in this one, and he was on the bench with fellow Aussie Sammy Silvera for this one. And didn't they perform, the Middlesbrough boys? Their team struck early in the 9th, 28th and 42nd minute. They were 3-0 up at half time in a flash, and then finished the job off 4-0. And we've seen Silvera come on in the 60th minute, and excitingly, McGree also returning from injury in the 74th minute. And both looking sharp and consolidating with their passing completion was fantastic in that second half. And they are now second after Ipswich lost. And got a little bit of breathing room, and they're still chasing Coventry down for first spot. All right, let's move over to the other Australian players. We have Daniel Bennie, starts for QPR during the week. It was a 0-0 draw against Oxford. That was Bennie's first start this season in the championship, so much needed time for Daniel Bennie. Keely Adamson was also on the bench, but unfortunately an unused sub. QPR played again overnight, going down 3-2 to Wrexham. I'll tell you what, Chief, if you're a QPR supporter, your hands will be in your head. Wrexham scored 2 stoppage time goals, with Bennie getting 16 minutes off the bench in this one. They were all over him, QPR 2-1. It was just sad news for the fans. They were devastated at the end. They just self-imploded in injury time, and they had a player sent off too and conceded those 2 late goals. That loss, 3-2, drops them to 12th, and unfortunately couldn't consolidate their mid-table position. Also, midweek, we had Cam Burgess, who was in fine form for Swansea. They inflicted a 3-1 win on Blackburn, with the big Socceroos centre-back having a very solid game. The result pulls Swansea away from relegation and has put Blackburn right in it, unfortunately for the Rovers. And on Sunday morning, Swansea played again. They travelled to Hull this time, going down 2-1, falling behind early 2-0 in the first half, with Cam Burgess playing a full game that leaves them 16th in the table. That's a wrap in the championship, mate. Anything stick out for you there?
Just I had a question for you. Do you think, given that Irankunda is mainly coming off the bench these days for Watford, is he best deployed there for the Socceroos? Is that as an impact player?
Oh, I don't think so. I think with the personal family break that he had, where he was probably starting before that and in really good form, he had that time off, and I think he's just working him way back into the Watford lineup. But the Watford strikers have been pretty strong. I don't see him coming off the bench for the Socceroos. I think he's Tony Povic is starting in the starting lineup, and I think we're stronger with him starting. But look, we it depends who he picks too. Like we talked about, the strikers being a lot of X factors, and whether he's deployed as a 10 in behind there. So, but I think if you're starting your best 11, Irakunda's in it all the time.
No, fair point. Yeah, I was just wondering what his match fitness is like, and I know he did play a game from the start a couple of weeks back, I think, in the cup. But yeah, I think look, you can see it kind of both ways. You know, if he comes on 20, 30 minutes to go, he's dangerous because opposition players are starting to fatigue, and he can run at them. But yeah, he's certainly got the ability to go from the start. Daniel Bennie's probably the other one that stood out to me in your wrap there, because that start came out of the blue, didn't it? Because he wasn't really, he's been in and out of our match day squads and hardly getting any time, and then all of a sudden it's a start and it's 90 minutes for him. So yeah, very interesting what's happening at QPR.
Yeah, let's just hope it continues. It was looking at low moves there at the back half, and all of a sudden, bang, straight in against Oxford. I know it was a 0-0 draw, and he got 16 minutes overnight. But again, is the right look. Irakunda and Bennie, if you look at their age profiles, 19 and 20 respectively, still plenty of time, isn't it? And they're in and amongst the squad, and they're playing or coming off the bench. So I don't think you could ask much more from an Australian point of view at that age, playing at that level. They've got a long way to go in their careers, don't they? So I think it's a really good start. And to be wanting Bennie to start at that young age profile in the championship just goes to show the immense quality that probably lies in his future.
I think with Benny too, like when you look at his physique, he's got quite a wiry frame, and I think it's probably just one of those things that's like multiple pre-seasons in the gym. He's just going to build up that bulk and become a stronger and stronger player. So yeah, whether he stays at QPR or a loan move does eventuate maybe to League One, the minutes are the most important thing. All right, let's go to League One, mate. Cardiff played top four Stockport County. Alex Robson started, but they go down early, equalising to go in at 1-1 at half time. And that was the final score, with Robertson getting 84 minutes, and they remain top of the league by 4 points. Unfortunately, down the other end of the table, it's not looking good for a couple of Aussies. Joe Gauci did return to the starting lineup for Port Vale, but it's an unhappy night as they go down 3-1 to Exeter, and they're now 12 points off survival, with the new Aussie coach, John Brady, needing an absolute miracle to pull them out of that, unfortunately. Wigan played an entertaining 3-3 draw with Doncaster. Rafael Borges Rodriguez playing 75 minutes. No Tyrese Francois in this game, but with the result, Wigan do slip to 19th, just 2 points above relegation. So yeah, mixed results and mixed situations in League One, isn't it?
I watched a bit of the Port Vale game. It was an ugly watch, let me tell you. And the defence of Port Vale was shameful, apart probably from the second goal, which was a bullet in the bottom corner from about 25 yards out, which skidded into the bottom corner. So, yeah, there was a couple of easy openings, and Joe Gauci, I think, had his hands in his head going, how are we defending this? And honestly, Exeter probably should have scored more. They had an open goal, I think, in the last 10 minutes. So I think their number 9 had a chance to score a hattie and somehow missed the easiest opportunity of the night. But, yeah, it's not happy days for Port Vale. They honestly, it's some of the worst football I've ever seen. So they probably need to regroup back in League Two, and Joe Gauci will probably be very happy when he returns to Villa, and probably looking at his next move, what he can do. All
Well,
right,
it's
mate.
interesting with the keepers because Patrick Beach, his rival for that spot, didn't have the best night last night either. So,
Yeah, he
yeah.
only conceded 6. Oh well. Matty Ryan's in form, but yeah, look, I think it's just wash that weekend away, lads. I'm sure you'll be back next week in better form. They're too good at keepers not to. So, yeah, looking at the goals, I don't think there was much chance of saving many of them. All right, mate. We had before we go to the Women's Super League, we had a League Cup game during the week, and midweek Arsenal were knocked out in the League Cup by Man United 1-0 with Caitlin Foord playing the full 90. Chelsea will meet Man U in the final after they beat Man City 2-1, with Kerr and Carpenter both starting for Chelsea. Kyra Cooney-Cross and Mary Fowler are back in training. Exciting news for their respective teams after Cooney-Cross flew home after being with her mum, and Fowler recovers from her ACL. So good news stories there for the Matildas, and we've got a cup final with Chelsea to look forward to. Hopefully they can beat Man U.
So
Man
what
City,
about
sorry.
what about Mary, mate? What are we doing with Mary Fowler for the Asian Cup squad? It's been out a while. Do you roll the dice on a spot for Mary Fowler?
No, absolutely. She's the X factor. Yeah, she's too good a quality. Yeah, she's taken her time. She's built up well. She's been training for a little while. So, yeah, I've got no doubts that Mary Fowler will be probably the number one first picked. Wouldn't surprise me at all. I think she'll probably build into the tournament, probably similar to what they did with Kerr last World Cup. Yeah, just get her at the back end. We've got 3 good group games. You know, you could probably pay a few cameos. I think she could play 15, 20 minutes, just build her fitness up. And yeah, hopefully she'll be firing. But we've all seen the quality of her, and no doubt she'll be in that uniform for the Matildas and hoping to drive that right to the final and hopefully get a win.
Yeah, just over a month away that tournament kicks off. So yeah, just conscious that she's been out for quite some time, and I mean I would have her in there as a wild card anyway. I think as you said, even if it's only for spurts of 10 or 15 off the bench, yeah, you'd still take her quality all the time.
All right, mate. Women's Super League. Talk us through the clash of the Titans.
Yeah, Chelsea hosted Arsenal, second versus third, to see who can stay in the title race. Aussie Matildas represented Kerr and Carpenter started for Chelsea. Foord and Catley started for Arsenal. Kerr playing full games with subbed at the 57-minute mark. Was nil at half time. Arsenal had more possession, but both sides had 8 shots each. But it was Arsenal who took the spoils with 2 second-half goals without reply, moving them to within 1 point of Chelsea in second. Both clubs will find it hard to catch City, though, with a game in hand and 6 or 7 points ahead. It was also an all-Aussie battle as Brighton got a 1-0 win away to Everton, which keeps coach Dario Vidicic, who has currently got a leave of absence from the team, but keeps them 6. Charlie Rule for Brighton played 89 minutes, while for Everton, Claire Wheeler played 79 minutes, and Everton remained 10th, just above relegation.
All right. I'd also too. I'll put an extra note in there for tonight, Chief. When I was looking for James Overy, I come across a young up and coming player, capped for the Socceroos, Joariah Shea. A few of the Man U supporters might have heard from him, or a few Aussie fans probably heard about him. He's playing under 18s over in Man U, playing 11 games already this year. Born in Canberra, dual citizenship in England, so maybe one to follow for the future. Has been capped in the qualifiers for the Joeys in the under 17s, so I thought that was an interesting share over in England.
Yeah, I have heard the name before, and yeah, I think there's some big raps on him. So yeah, we'll see how he progresses and if he gets a look in at Man U.
All right, mate. Talk us through Scotland, where the league that just keeps on giving. Big games tonight, but we had a couple of Aussies in action last night.
Yeah, and midweek we'll start there with Ryan McGowan playing a full game as Livingston conceded late to draw with St Mirren. On Sunday morning, we saw Livingston get thumped 6-2 by Aberdeen. Both sides reduced to 10 for Aberdeen. Milanovic got 27 minutes and looked creative in his time. For Livingston, McGowan played a full game the Yangi brothers and Suman not in the squad. So interesting things happening with both of the Yangi brothers. Manager David Martindale confirmed Teddy Yangi has exited the club for Japan on loan, and Aberdeen's Cassini Yangi looking to move to Japan as well, with fellow Aussie coach Arthur Papas Cerezo Osaka. So yeah, I think Teddy probably getting more game time at Livingston, but Cassini completely out of it at Aberdeen, hasn't he, all season? Barely got a look in.
Yeah, right move to go over. But Teddy's, he's been there a couple of years, scored 18 goals. I'm surprised they're just letting him go like this. But anyway, obviously, maybe on loan, but we'll see once that goes out in the wash over the next couple of days. But Japan, obviously, in off-season at the moment, so they'll try to obviously work together and get back and see where they both land, whether they land at the same club or different clubs. We'll see what happens.
Might depend if they get relegated too, mate, because they're sitting bottom of the league there. So be an interesting one. Falkirk bring down Hibernian 4-1. Martin Boyle played a full game, so good to see him back. Thought he might be out for a bit longer. Jack Idle subbed at half time. They remained fifth, but an unhappy night for Hibs. Better news for Aussies at Motherwell. They continue to go very well at Motherwell. Smashing 4-0 win. Oscar Priestman starts and plays 83 minutes. Johnny Katrumbis coming off the bench in the 60th minute, and Stamatolopoulos in the 70th minute, all contributed. And it keeps Motherwell in fourth, chasing the big three, which is very exciting. The Dundee United game was postponed overnight, but they've started to lose ground for that crucial sixth spot with Falkirk's big win over Hibs. So they'll be hoping to get some wins on the board before they split the season. And, mate, the big one tonight, Hearts v Celtic. Celtic with their, I think, 2-2 draw with Bologna during the week, had to commit to that one and needed, well, they probably needed a win, really, but they needed to put all their eggs into that one. So, yeah, whether there's going to be some tired legs, but, interesting clash, isn't it?
Well, it's not just Celtic's European performance in midweek. They've got another game, the last game of Europa League, coming up as well after this game. So, and they have to get something out of it. They're just in the spots, 23rd, 24th spots at the moment. So they will need a result in their final game. So, yeah, all the pressure's on. But they do go to Hearts away, which will be a tough ask. But Hearts have got a lot of players out. But Hearts at home, fresh. We'll see what happens. This game could be anything tonight. We wish, obviously, Hearts all the best. Obviously, we're rooting for Cammy Devlin's team. Obviously, he can't make it with injury. He won't be back till March. But hopefully Hearts can get a result tonight and keep the momentum going. A win would be fantastic, wouldn't it? And pile the pressure on Celtic. I did say early in the year, Chief, that Europe could be their Celtic's undoing in these unstable times for them.
Yeah, I just had a look too to see if Callum Nieuwenhof was back for Hearts. Feels like he's been a week away for about 2 months, but it still says a week away. And hopefully he can get some game time for Hearts. It'd be good to see him fly the Aussie flag while Cam Devlin's out with injury. But the overall picture, we want Hearts to be going on and winning the league. That would be fantastic.
Yep, big one. We'll be watching very closely tonight. All right, let's fly the flag for the Aussies in Europe. We'll start with Germany. Dylan Leonard out for several months after an ankle injury following a challenge in training. Devastating news for the young player. He's got a long recovery on his books now, so we wish him all the best. He was
getting in around that match day squad too. He was close to game time, and big setback, unfortunately.
Yeah, it is, especially he's still young though, so plenty of time. We had the derby in the Bundesliga. What about this for a game, Chief? If you will not be bored watching a second of this game. St. Pauli host Hamburg with a return off the bench. Another returning Socceroo, Jackson Irvine, coming on in the 65th minute. Obviously, we reported on Connor Metcalfe still missing out till March with a knee injury. The game was 0-0 draw, with 12 minutes of injury time in this one in a heated affair, as you'd expect the local derby there. The point is enough, though, to get them out of relegation on goal difference. So they're hanging in there, St. Pauli, and they would have loved to win last night, but I'll tell you what, it had a bit of everything in this game. So both teams will have to settle for the draw. All right, let's hearts in mouths. Let's go to Spain. Levante. Well, what an exciting game this one was. Played early Saturday morning. Matt Ryan in goals, and they go down early. The defence of Levante honestly opened it up. He just had 6 yards out. He just slotted it into the corner. Matt Ryan having no chance with Levante's defence split. But they recover in the second half. They had 2 goals in a vital opportunity to get 3 points. They go up 2-1. They're looking to breach the gap in relegation, but unfortunately, hearts in mouths conceding injury time, and we believe the game's going to 2-2, and that's how it would finish. But wait, Chief, there's more drama as a winner in the last minute of injury time, 90+6, sends the home fans bonkers in a 3-2 win, and it's their first win at home in La Liga, and didn't the fans lap it up? And those 3 vital points could be absolutely crucial in the run home. What a bonkers game that was. Did you get an eye on that one?
Yeah, I caught a bit of it, and yeah, like obviously we want Matty Ryan to be getting out of the situation that they're in, and as you said, every point matters, and a huge 3 points for them to try and avoid relegation this season. But yeah, we've seen plenty of late drama across plenty of games this weekend, which is fantastic. Let's go to the Netherlands, mate. Jordy Boss, his final beats Graz 3-0 during the week to keep their Europa League round of 16 hopes alive. Boss started and played 61 minutes. They'll need to beat Real Betis away in the last round to make the top 24, while Betis will need a result to finish top 8. So tough trip, and all to do is they need the results to fall their way. Yeah, a bit of work to do for Feyenoord in the Europa League. Also in Breda, they nearly pull off a big win, but secure a big point against top of the table PSV. Oh, mate, they were leading 2-1 for so long, and they just conceded late. That 3 points would have got them out of relegation zone, but yeah, they're still right in that scrap at the moment. Max Ballard heat map was full. What a surprise. But they remain in the bottom 2 with 4 teams all within 3 points. So very tight in the Eredivisie. Dropping down the division, Josh Nisbet's Rotor JC go down 2-1 to Top Os, and Nisbet was a first half sub in the 26th minute. And league leaders Den Haag lose 2-1 away to Vitesse. Cam Pipion was a sub on for the second half, and their lead has been cut to just 2, but have a 15-point gap on third. Yeah, so it's the all-important top 2 with the automatic promotion. I'm sure they'd love to win the league as well, but it's all about getting up to the Eredivisie. Socceroos Milos Degenek played a full game for his new club, Accor Nicosia. 1-1 draw with Omonia in the Cypriot League. And then Asia, Dylan Wenzel Hall's Penang go down 2-0 in the Malaysian Cup round of 16, losing 2-1 on aggregate. So, yeah, not the best result there for Dylan Wenzel Halls. Just want to touch Mopper on before we get to our A-League men's wrap. Our under-17 Joeys finished their Pacific Island tour. 2-0 win over Fiji, 5-2 win over Solomon Islands, and 3-1 win over Solomon Islands. The Fiji and Solomon Islands were, of course, playing their under-19 squad, so pretty comprehensive wins in the end. But let's hope that they just got some good match minutes out of it and started to build that cohesion in that young group.
Yeah, it's just a good opportunity, as you said, to get together and play football, and all local based players, majority of them were. So if they're playing football at this age together, they've got bigger things ahead, obviously, but good to get some hit outs and get some game time. All right, mate. The A-League, again, doesn't disappoint us, does it? We've had the second dismissal, which we'll get to in the moment, and we'll see over live currently as we record as Western Sydney Wanderers host Perth Glory, and it's 0-0 at half-time. But we have to go back to the movies, Chief, because box office jets are starting to get, what's those expensive seats in the middle of the theatre that you've got to pay extra money for? That's what we might have to, well, you might have to get the choc tops back, Chief, because I'll tell you what, talk us through as the Jets put on a show against Phoenix.
Yep, they routed the Wellington Phoenix 4-1 in the end in front of 8,207 at McDonald Jones Stadium. The win made it 4 in a row, which equaled their club record, which they last did back in 2008. Shows you what a bit of a dry spell that the Newcastle Jets have been on. Yeah, big win over Wellington. Lockie, what about this for a start, mate? Lockie Bayless opening and scoring after just 21 seconds. Daniel McGree was on commentary and hadn't said a word yet. Teo hadn't even introduced him yet. And Lockie Bayless very rudely puts it into the top corner with an absolute screamer. He battled and harassed and harried and got the ball and then did something very special. So, yeah, what a way to start this game. Both teams had heaps of chances in the remainder of the first half. Both keepers pulled off some incredible saves. A special mention to James Devlin, who pulled off a crazy triple save at one point. I don't know how he saved it down to his left and then he got back up and he poured it away with his right. Yeah, I felt like they put cling wrap on the goal or something, mate, because they just wouldn't go in for Wellington Phoenix. What about these incredible halftime stats as well, mate? 26 shots total, 8 keeper saves, 3.9 XG, and 1.14 XG for Lockie Rose alone. No idea how it was only 1-0 halftime. Lockie Rose, he was in the thick of it, that's for sure. Clayton Taylor doubled their lead 11 minutes into the second half when Daniel Wilmering laid it off and he jinked inside and powered the ball past an unsighted Eamon McCarron. Wasn't too much longer until the Jets had 3. Lockie Bayless turned provider, sliding the ball into who else but Eli Adams, who timed his run perfectly and stroked it home. That was to be Eli Adams' last contribution. He went off with a hamstring injury last week, mate, and so everyone was pretty shocked to see him in the starting lineup. But Millsy confirmed pre-game that he was all good, and so it turned out to be. Yeah, he and Clayton Taylor were given a rest. It also prompted a quadruple change from the Phoenix. Chiefy Italiano definitely wanted to mix things up at that point. Wellington did manage to get one back through new signing Sander Khartoum. This was a beauty, and I think he's going to be quite good for Phoenix once he gets settled. He was left with too much space and curled his shot in onto the far post. The Knicks have only been held scoreless once this season, which is an incredible start. Any hope of a comeback was short-lived, though, when the X-Factor Xavier Bertoncello finished off a nice move from the Jets with the assist coming from Joel Bertolicio. With the 4-1 win at the time, Jets went to equal first with Auckland and at the summit of the A-League men's competition, mate, the box office Jets.
Yes, gold class. That's the word I was looking for, Chief. Gold class. And yeah, they've got another big game coming up, and I see some local personalities spruiking the game already to get a big box office crowd there, because the football's great to watch, isn't it? We talk about it every week, and Jets, that's 4 in a row now, 12 points, shot them back up, sit second now. I'm in a great position to challenge for the title, which is just unbelievable after their shaky start when they just couldn't get the balance right. We've seen spurts of that football, especially against Victory early in the year, what they can do. But they seem to have found transition on both sides now, and it seems to be working well for them. But their football is probably some of the best to watch in Australia at the moment. So, can't wait for next week. Fantastic game. All right, well, what about this one? Auckland, draw with Mariners 2-2 in windy, rainy conditions. The weather was shocking. Especially in the first half. The sun came out in the second half. I don't know where it appeared from, but I'll tell you what, it wasn't there in the first half, Chief. It was shocking. And the Mariners, they were poor in the first 20. And they played a poor back half pass out and gave the ball away all too easy. And it come back with a bullet 20-yard pass into May, who puts Randall through on a platter for a nice finish. And it was all too easy in the first 20 minutes. Auckland were cruising, creating chances. Should have been miles in front in the first 20 minutes alone. Somehow Mariners survived. There was a VR check even in the box for handball. Obviously Auckland looking for the penalty and didn't come. The pressure continued. Lockie Brooks' header saved by Redmayne. That was a great save. That was a crucial header. Probably saved them the point at this stage when you think about the long-term longevity of this game. Before Central Coast finally got a chance in the 24th minute, And there was a little sign there, Chief, but offside on a one-on-one. He didn't finish, but was well saved, but the offside flag was up. Maya, again, had a shot blocked after another great cross from De Beers. He's just all class down that left-hand side. And Maya, again, puts in a shot on target as Mariners were opened up again. It was just a slaughterfest in that first half. And then the number 10 again, Maya again blew it. This was the key moment there. I think they lost the game, Chief. They had a 4-on-1, and he took a selfish shot, which was palmed away. Any ball in, or any ball played in a bit earlier, would have seen them just have an easy tap in. But for some reason, he selfishly took the shot, and he'll be regretting that one because it cost him in the end. And they were punished for that play, and a goal by Laval as the Mariners show how to counter with an equaliser. The former South Melbourne Western United player punishes Auckland, and they go in the half at 1-1 somehow after an absolute domination by Auckland with the ball. Second half, though, Mariners come out and with the confidence of that goal, and Rue was just a whisker over it. He doesn't score many goals, Rue, but I'll tell you what, he just missed. Great shot. He just went over the bar. And they built confidence, and DePizio puts a great ball across too, but they just couldn't get anyone on the end of it. And in the 57th minute, whoever down the left-hand side steps up, De Beers, and crosses and lands it on Cosgrove's head for a goal. Mariners struggle in the air all day, and 2-1. It was a deliberate tactic by Auckland, no doubt. Mariners then make some changes. Oliver Paul comes on, probably too late for me to deal with Cosgrove's height, because Cosgrove was calling him all sorts of problems. And De Beers masters that left-hand side in the second half. He was just always there, wasn't he? And putting in some superb balls. Oliver Nathan Blair, though, makes his debut off the bench, and Theodoros tries to change the game for the Mariners off the bench. Game 100, though, I wanted to shout out as Theodoros celebrates his little milestone. And Randall has a chance to seal it, though, at the other end and forces Redmayne into action. And Brooke then may nearly finish the game, but again, somehow Mariners survive. The game continues, though, to be dominated by Auckland in the second half, but it's still only 2-1. And as they move in the final minutes, the turning point, a shocking error from a corner that come off. It was a slip from the corner, and it just popped out there and then came back in. And Val, for 2 weeks in a row, has caused an absolute shocking error as he bumbled the ball, and an own goal was the overall result of it. And the game was 2-2, and the scoreline didn't reflect Auckland's dominance. But again, it's a result Mariners just hung in there, and it surprised everyone. And Auckland will be absolutely filthy and somehow figuring out how they let this one go. But I think it was their selfish football, Chief, that cost them this game.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like it, mate. And do we need to be concerned, or do Auckland FC fans need to be concerned? That's only one win in their past 5 games. They are letting these little moments, these little lapses that didn't happen last season, that they're letting them creep into their game. And whether it is an attack where they're choosing the wrong option, or whether it is Vowed making a mistake at the back, just things that they didn't do last season. Yeah, I wonder if that's really coming into effect for them this season.
I think it's the change of pace. They love to slow it down and control the football, and they use it well, don't get me wrong. But I think when you're up 2-1 and they're just controlling the football, which is fine, but yeah, they just didn't let down. And I thought there was so many key moments where if they were unselfish, they could just laid the simple ball off, especially in the first half. There was those couple of counter-attacks where they butchered a 4-on-1 and 3-on-1. And it's cost him. And unfortunately, I don't mean to be critical of the goalkeeper, but he's made 2 howlers and probably cost him 4 points in the league title.
Yeah, well, he has been pretty consistent this season. Big shoes to fill with Alex Paulson moving on. But you can't shy away from these mistakes. And you got three prolific scorers there in Cosgrove, Lockie Brooke, and Jesse Randall, all right at the top of the goal scoring chart. So it shouldn't be an issue scoring goals, but it sounds like that they didn't put the game away, and that it's cost them in the end. So let's turn to the Mariners though. But we spoke midweek in our recording that we did, but just how impressed we are of how they keep turning up, and it sounds like they've done it again. And just haven't given up, and they've gone right to the end. So yeah, Olive Laval, he looked really dangerous last week when they played MacArthur as well. So I think he'll be a good signing for them longer term.
I like the bench. Yeah, that they made some really good subs. They've got some depth in. They've made some really key signings with all that pressure that they've been under while the sale goes through. But yeah, well done to the club to get these players in, because it's definitely made a difference. I definitely feel a lot more confident in the second half that they can definitely compete and gel a bit more, because they've made some very smart signings. And once now a couple of Olyrood 23s are back. They were on the bench on the weekend, but now once they get back in that starting lineup, I feel a lot more confident. And geez, to get an away point to Auckland with that resilience again was just fantastic. So hopefully they can come back and obviously get some more results back at home. But they'll definitely make it difficult for teams. And I think they've done everyone a favour, haven't they? They've condensed the league ladder right up. And yeah, look, and I'm sure the goalkeeper for Auckland will bounce back, like you said. But yeah, it's made this table, and it's made the A-League, and this is what we want, isn't it? More stories to talk about, and more teams still in it. Like, we're going to talk about a club, the next two teams coming up that are on the peripheral of those edges of those playoffs, and Jesus, might not just be the playoffs. They're that close. It's not funny.
Yeah, well, if you can genuinely say that anyone could beat anyone on their day, that makes for a good league. Let's talk Adelaide Brisbane. It was a 3-2 win for Adelaide. This one was all about the hat-trick hero Brodie Burkett, who we will get to. There was a minute's silence observed before the game to acknowledge the passing of Filio Valkanis, Michael Valkanis' mother, who passed away during the week. So yeah, thoughts with the Valkanis family. To start off the game, there was an incredible last-ditch challenge by Satiri Phyllis in the 4th minute to deny Michael Roos from close range. The Raw had some siders from outside the box, Chris Long, and then Michael Roos. They were just trying their luck, I think, but it was Sam Klein who really showed them how it's done. When his run ended in literally a pass, mate, into the bottom corner from 25 yards, he used the defender really well as a shield and just like curled the ball around, but yeah, I think he was said in commentary, maybe Partaloo just said, no, you can't do that from that far out. You can't pass the ball in. But he did it, and he got the ball past Josh Schmitz, which is a very nice goal. 10 minutes after half-time, it was substitute Brodie Burkett, who levelled the scores with his first A-League goal when he had a nice first touch from Johnny Yole's assist there and finished at the near post. Johnny Yole was on form again with this one, mate, in a good vein of form at the moment. Chris Long then got one back for the Raw, showing all his experience to open up some space and smash it home from 20 yards. Mate, that one was an absolute rocket. Brodie Burkett wasn't done, though. He equalised with his second goal when Yaya DeCooley burst down the left and he cut it back for Burkett to score. And then the man popped up again. 19-year-old Brodie Burkett completed his hat-trick after being introduced at halftime to win the game for Adelaide, his boyhood club, when he smartly anticipated the ball into the box and a very nice header home. What a superstar. There was a nice picture going around today, mate, of him as a kid getting a photo with Craig Goodwin as a fan. Yeah, just Adelaide through and through. Read a nice quote from him. The best advice passed on was something along the lines of, if it's not happening on the ball, it's definitely happening off the ball. So yeah, sounds like a really good kid, and hopefully, yeah, we see plenty more of him in the future. But what a performance from him off the bench, and had a massive impact on the game, and has gone ahead and won it for Adelaide United.
It's hard not to get excited, isn't it? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, we lose Iraconda to Bayern, bring in Archie Goodwin. We lose him to Charlotte. We'll bring in Jovanovic, scores goals at the Asia Cup. What do we got? Jovanovic comes on. How about we bring on Brodie Burkett, who signed a 3-year contract this year, Chief. So at 19 years of age, signed a 3-year professional contract with Adelaide, and was rewarded for his rapid rise through South Australia's football pathway. Or should we call it the Golden Mile, mate? It's absolutely it is Socceroo laden, isn't it? That pathway, and they keep producing them. Burkett began his football journey at Seaford Rangers, so shout out to Seaford, before progressing through the junior ranks in Adelaide City, and later with Bacala, where he made his senior debut at 16, Chief, in the State League. And 16 in the State League, we'll just bang 11 goals in 17 matches. And then straight, obviously, on to Adelaide for his further development. So what an exciting future. You know what I love the most? Just not just the fact that last goal with the winner, but did you see that? He checked out, defender lifted his head, put his eyes on him, and then he checked back in through the gap. The defender turned his head for half a second, bang, hit the hole, and just what a header! Like, wow, what a moment to win a game.
Like his movement for all the goals is really good, and
Oh,
to
incredible.
take you back to that quote on his player profile on the Adelaide United website, if it's not happening on the ball, it's happening off the ball, and his movement off the ball was really good. So, yeah, first time I've seen him in action, and really want to keep an eye on him going forward.
Yep, second game in the A-League, and fantastic. He might start next week or even get some more game time off the bench. Get him while his confidence high. They've found another gem, haven't they? And just the Adelaide production line continues. So, look, hats off to you, Brody. It was a sensational hat trick, and we wish you all the best in development. And Adelaide again must just be going, wow, we've got another one here, and let's see his development and see where it takes him. It could be very exciting.
All right, the late game on Saturday, mate. The Bulls smashed Melbourne City 6-2. Pre-game, it was confirmed by Aurelio Vidmar that Kai Truan had played his last game for the club, with reports he'll join Aidan O'Neill at New York City. Also, Daniel Arzani and Marcus Eunice signed during the week as well. The Bulls got off to an absolute flyer with some veteran Socceroos leading the way. Mitch Duke opened the scoring, turning a cross in from close range to open his MacArthur Bulls account. That was in the 6th minute. And then just 3 minutes later, Luke Bratton caught Patrick Beach off his line with a 45-yard chip to give the Bulls an early 2-0 lead. Very cheeky from Luke Bratton, but he probably had a sense that Patrick Beach was off his line and probably didn't even need to look, just need to put it on target. And very nice goal from Bratton. Mbeumo got one back for City when his header at the far post from a Nathaniel Atkinson cross was bundled across the line by Philip Curto, almost in the style of Michael Vowd, I have to say. But 10 minutes later, Anthony Caceres restored their advantage. Typical kind of Caceres run. Played in by Talbot, picked up the ball in midfield, ran it at a retreating City defence. No one came out at him, and just found the bottom corner very nicely. Patrick Beach had no chance. Scoring continued in the second half. Luke Vickery was played in by Harry Sawyer, and his low drive ricocheted in. And then fellow youngster Dean Bosniak came in from the left on the opposite side and edged inside and slid the ball in as well, past Patrick Beach. City's new recruit, Marcus Eunice, gave their fans a taste of what might be coming. He had a blistering run, which opened up down the right, and then, didn't waste his time to put the ball away. But we weren't quite done yet, mate, because in stoppage time, Harry Sawyer towered over Aziz Bayic at the far post for his 6th of the season and went to the equal lead of the gold bit race. That was just unfair. Big Harry Sawyer on Aziz Bayic. I felt for Aziz on that occasion. He had no chance.
That's football, Chief. But goal's a goal, and well done, Harry Sawyer. But I'd probably suggest sticking to the piggybacking of the ball boys with his after celebration. Because that was,
mate.
Mate, I think he'll need a little bit more dance training during the week. But you never know. He's got a challenge to get in this side. It's so hot. And well, Melbourne City, where do you go? Look, they're not that far off. They've got some brilliant players coming in, but Kai Truan, massive loss, and it's just showed straight away defensively. And I know they got Ryan Teague in there, but Truan's played central defender and then come into that 6 or reverted back to that central defender role. That versatility and that option is going to be sadly missing, and it's going to need to be replaced if they want to challenge up that top 2 or 3. We know what their attack can do, but you can't play all attackers. And I know they've got time to settle in the transfers that they made, and they made some good ones, but Kai Truan, such a big loss.
And that MacArthur midfield as well. Like, we know that they had an off night against Sydney FC when they had a heavy schedule, but they've really Caceres, Rose, and Bratton in that midfield. They've got a great combination, and it's going to be hard to break down. So they really took advantage of the lack of experience and maybe a bit of lack of quality in that Melbourne City midfield, and they just completely ran the show. And look, if when you've got targets like Duke and then Harry Sawyer off the bench up front, you got the pace out wide, they're going to be able to pick passes and score goals. So I think the Bulls are looking quite dangerous with the way that they've recruited and the way they're set up for the remainder of the season.
Yeah, and I want to point out a very important note, Chief. They go away to Adelaide this Friday and then come back at home against Perth before they travel to Bangkok for their all-important round of 16 Asia Champions League 2 game. And then there is no A-League game in between. They are allowed to come back and travel back home and have the home game on the 19th. So I think their schedule that they've battled over the last few weeks is about to come good for them, because they've got 4 games, 4 important games, but all spaced out on 7-day turnarounds, which I thought is fantastic. And they're going to go strength to strength before they obviously bounce back in the A-League, and we wish them well in the obviously Asian Champions League journey, with that game kicking off in February. So in a 2-legged tie with Bangkok. So exciting times for MacArthur fans.
Yeah, definitely, mate. The game going on at the moment, we're at the 57th minute. Still 0-0 between the Western Sydney Wanderers and Perth. Obviously, the news in the week that Alan Stajic was parted ways, was sacked from the club, and Gary Van Egmond has come in as interim manager. I think, that just needed to happen for the Wanderers. Unfortunately, it just wasn't happening under Stajic, and Van Egmond's come in, made his mark. He's left Ibasuki out of the squad. He's also left Alukwala out of the squad, and also made a host of changes, but it doesn't seem to have helped them in the goal scoring part just yet. But yeah, we'll see how this match plays out. But what an interesting table we've got at the moment. We've got Auckland out in front on 25, and then the Jets 24, MacArthur 23. Sydney FC, of course, play the Big Blue tomorrow. They're on 22. It'll be interesting, mate, and I'll get your take on this in a sec, to see if Sydney can actually take advantage of a few of these slip-ups from other clubs. We've then got Adelaide United on 22, Brisbane Roar on 21, and Melbourne City on 20. A bit of a drop away after that, but not that far behind, really. The Knicks on 18, Victory on 17, obviously with a game in hand too. Perth 17, and then Mariners and Western Sydney down towards the bottom. But what a tight ladder we've got, 13, 14, 15 games in for most teams, and it's great because we see all you need. Look at the Jets, look at where they were. They've gone on that 4-match run, and they're in second now.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And the good thing is, Chief, the January transfer, haven't the A-League clubs reacted? They've bounced on so many. Normally we talk about how many exits and how many we lose and vice versa. And there's been a couple. We've seen Harrington go, but that was already pre-planned, and obviously Truham we just spoke about. But wow, haven't they been busy and active? And Brisbane, D'Agostino, Perth reinforcing. You've got Melbourne bringing those bringing players back. You've got Western Sydney making some moves. You've got Fraser signed this week. So not with Fraser's a 9. I don't know why they've gone for another winger, but hey, Fraser, Bournemouth, if you remember him from there, and I think he went to Southampton after that, is a quality player. Geez, we've got some good depth and quality. Socceroos returning. It's exciting, isn't it, for the A-League? I think everything's on the way up, and the crowds have been really good over the last couple of weeks, and you've got some blockbusters happening. Like, what about tomorrow, the Big Blue? Geez, I know Melbourne got some Ollie Roos back. The Ollie Roos now being over, they'll be able to fill their holes and probably field their strongest team yet. And then Sydney, chance to go equal top and with a couple of games in hand. But, geez, they're going to have it up against them down there with the crowd and that one. And last time we seen them in Melbourne, they put the low block on City to have a 0-0 draw. So, mate, everywhere you look, you think Mariners are a write-off, but they just keep fighting. Yeah, what's to come in these next 10 to 12 weeks with Asian Champions Leagues obviously resuming with Melbourne City and MacArthur as well. So many talking points and real positive talking points. And it's really good to see the A-League, with all the things that are happening, have got a real good positive outlook on it.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Exciting. Big Blue tomorrow should be a cracker. And what about a Sydney derby doubleheader next weekend. Unfortunately, both women's side are sitting in second last and last. But yeah, Sydney FC flying the flag. Wanderers still last as we record, but Wanderers got the chocolates last time. So yeah, derby, you throw form out the window and anything could happen.
Yeah, new coach. Yeah, we talked about Sydney's schedule in the next few weeks, and they've got Auckland as well. So, wow, it's there's some blockbuster games, isn't there? And yeah, it's wow, that game after game after game, week after week. So exciting times. All right. So, what do you think of Segecic's sacking? Was it warranted, Chief? Both women and men's football both last on the A-League and Interleague table. It's been a hot talking point. Recruitment for me's let them down. If they could have fixed that, they probably wouldn't be in this situation.
I think, yeah, given his role and as we understand it, he was in oversaw things like recruitment as well as being the first team coach, and I think it's hard to disagree with the decision that the Wanderers have come to. I know that potentially they could have held out to the end of the season, but I think if they want to try and, as we just mentioned, there, the league is so tight, and there is an opportunity to go on a run. And if another coach, Gary Van Egmond at the moment as interim, could do something, maybe you take that opportunity now. But yeah, just given where both the men's team and the women's team are at, I think it was the right decision. But in saying that, the men's team have been there and thereabouts for most of the games. Not like they've been blown away too many times that I can recall. But form's form, and you just got to. It's a results business, unfortunately, and I think we just need to, I agree with what the Wanderers have done. I don't know if you do as well, mate.
Oh, look, I don't like seeing coaches sacked, but look, they're looking for a change. They can't sit where they are. They're a bigger club than that, but they're going to have to get more than just the coaching part right, because there's a lot of things at that club that show great potential, and they've just got to put it all together. So we'll see if it's the right decision as this season goes on. But we wish Alan all the best in the future. He's a good character and a really good football mind. So I know that one would hurt, but look, I'm sure there'll be opportunities that he's chased down before, and he'll probably chase down again. All right, Chief, we can't.
Sorry, mate. Just on stage, I just wanted to say that, like, many, many times in his press conferences, he's advocated for the game as a whole and the Australian game in particular, and kind of even put his kind of personal bias aside for the betterment of the game. So he really is a big advocate of the Australian game. So yeah, while it didn't work out at the Wanderers, that's something that he can hang his hat on for sure, that he always speaks up for the game and tries to pump it up as much as he can.
Very good point, my friend. Yes, he is very good positive advocate for football, and we wish him all the best in the future. All right, Chief, we've seen the report for women come out during the week, which we spoke about in our midweek podcast. So if you haven't jumped on there, have a listen. We talked about the future of the women's game and the recent appointments of Football Australia. But let's go to the A-League women, and we've seen on Tuesday night in the Ninja A-League, Brisbane Roar and Melbourne City were the first ones out. They played a 1-1 draw with goal-scoring ace Holly McNamara penalty being cancelled out by a goal from Ashlyn Miller, with Brisbane's Leah Varley having a great game in the heart of Brisbane's defence. It was a great point for the Roar. The City have been in great form this year. Both teams were obviously back in action over the weekend as well, with Brisbane picking up a great 3-1 win over Canberra. We know how good Canberra's form's been, and but unfortunately they've fallen apart in the last 5 games, only winning once. Why Brisbane are unbeaten in 5, making a bit of a charge. City also got a weekend win with Holly McNamara again, 2 more goals, which has her leading the Golden Boot race. No surprise there, as they get past Perth away 2-0. Also, we had another midweek game. Adelaide had come from behind, win over the Jets 2-1, with both of the Reds' goals coming from substitute Erin Healy and Karina Rossi. So well done there to the Adelaide Reds. The Wanderers, who have struggled all year, took down reigning champions, the Mariners, for their just second win of the season, with both goals coming from Holly Caspers. What a great couple of goals they were too. So well done, Holly Caspers, in a great performance. And Central Coast Mariners pulled one back, but it was their goal-scoring sneak and goal-scoring chart leader, Annalise Rasmussen, who scored for the Mariners. That's her 9th for the season. She's on fire as well. Another great performance. The Wanderers also announced that Chloe Berry-Hill has retired following her knee injury. And what a story and what a career Chloe has had. And we wish her all the best in the future. And she's got a lot more to offer for the game, no doubt. Unfortunately, struck down by injury. As we continue in the Ninja A-League, Wellington vs Adelaide. Well, Chief, I want to ask you, is Wellington, after this, challenging for the title? Brooke Nunn double. They lost their key striker but Brooke Nunn steps up, doubles, propelled Wellington to a 3-1 win over Adelaide, moving them second on the ladder. Wellington's other goal came from Michaela Woods, while Isabella Hodgson netted for Adelaide. Wellington, 5 points off high-flying Melbourne City. Bev's got them absolutely cranking. Last game just played, Melbourne victory versus Sydney FC. It's a dominant victory display, but they couldn't put Sydney FC away despite dominating the game and having 23 shots with 7 on target, and that all finished in a draw there. So, well, what a performance! First of all, from the Wanderers getting their second win, a much needed confidence boost. Sydney FC still down second last, but the big movers, Chief, Wellington up to second. 5 wins, 3 draws, 3 losses on 18 points, equal with Canberra.
Yeah, and how incredibly tight is the league? You got Melbourne City out in front on 23 points, but then between Wellington, Phoenix, we're in second on 18 points, and Perth in 9th on 16 points. So 2 points between, 10 places? No, sorry, 8 places. Yeah, incredibly tight. So, don't be too down on your team if you see them down in 8th or 9th. They're not that far off it, for sure. But Wellington Phoenix, maybe they are a chance. They've had to deal with a lot of adversity so far this year, but we know what a fantastic coach Bev Priestman is, and she's certainly getting plenty out of that team. So, they're doing very well. But look, it's so tight. All it would take was a couple of losses, and they might be right back down there. But exciting A-League women's ladder, and as you said, with the report came out from the PFA, it's the type of thing we want to see to build the excitement through the season.
Definitely. All right, let's go to Oceania to finish off all the leagues around the world for Australians. OFC Pro League, both South Melbourne and Auckland FC continue to dominate the OFC Pro League, with Auckland having 3 from 3, South Melbourne, my apologies, 2 from 2. They've won all their games so far in what looks like a bit of a 2-horse race already over there in Oceania. No surprises, though, with some heavy investors in that one. All right, mate, this is time for Chiefs Team of the Week. What do we got, buddy?
No, it's our team of the week, mate. It's our team of the week. James Dellinov in goal. Lewis Miller is going to play at right back. Leah Varley for 2 strong games in the past 7 days for Brisbane Roar. Panakikianis in the centre of defence, Geordie Boss at left back. Maxi Burgess was great for the Jets the other night. Oscar Priestman, his motherwell are absolutely flying. And then what about our front line? All have scored 2 goals or more in the week. Ollie Laval for the Mariners. Holly Casper, her double for the Wanderers in the win over the Mariners. Holly McNamara got 3 in the week, and how could we leave out Brodie Burkett, the teenage superstar, scoring that hat-trick? And who have you got as a superstar this week, Mupper?
My bench is full. I've had to put everybody in. No, Chief, how could we leave out Super Segecic?
I mean, but he only scored 1 goal, though.
Look, my bench is full. You can't go past Super Segecic. I've actually put in Rasmussen as well. I thought 9 goals in the Ninja A-League. I thought it's fantastic. And I also had a joke to you about how could we leave out Priestman, who's just having a great time in Motherwell the last month, has been in red-hot form, starting again overnight. So I might need an extended bench or an extended World Cup squad to fit all the players in.
Mate, you keep bending the rules every week.
I know, but there's been too many great performances, and that just goes to show Australian football is in a very good space.
Well said, mate. Just a quick note, just wanted to thank everyone for listening, but also encourage people to subscribe to the podcast, particularly on YouTube. We want to do a lot more content around the Asian Cup and the World Cup, and we need a few more subscribers to be able to unlock some features that we want to do. So even if you don't listen to us on YouTube, we'd really appreciate you subscribing to our channel. We try to pump out as much content as we can during the week. But yeah, we'd appreciate any subscriptions that we can get, because it just helps us to keep pushing along, because we're loving what we're doing and we just want to do more of it. So yeah, we'd really appreciate it. And look, that's going to do us for this week, Mopper. A massive week in Australian football.
Oh, absolutely. And yes, big derbies tonight and big contests coming up in another week of many games. So once again, thanks to the fans for the interaction, and we wish you all the best and all your teams a very big week ahead.
Yep, we'll be back midweek again. In the meantime, enjoy football.
All the best.